Hi, friends. I'm Emily Lay, and you're listening to the Simplified podcast. If you're looking for a quiet place where you can filter out the noise and the hustle, this is it. Every week, I invite you to slow down and join me to explore practical ways to organize and automate the complicated parts of life so you can focus on what truly matters most. Guys, if you need some holiday gifts that your mom and sisters and friends and daughters and teachers will love, let us help you with that. Simplified has all kinds of beautiful little gifts for your people, whether you're into organization, the best pens ever, mini notebooks for purses and computer bags, and even cute hats. It's easy to shop by product or pattern, so you can easily find something that your person will love. And if all else fails, there's always a gift card. Let us make your holidays simple. Shop all things Simplified over on emilylay.com. Friends, here we are in the thick of the holiday season. If you're listening to this episode when it comes out, then we're about a week away from Thanksgiving, aka the pregame for the big December holidays. Are you hosting? Are you cooking? Have you ordered the party trays that'll save you from cooking? To me, Thanksgiving is one of the most fascinating holidays because I feel like more than any other, you can kind of make it whatever you want it to be. People celebrate in all sorts of ways. Maybe your family meets in the same house every single year. Maybe you switch it up and hand off hosting duties like a hot potato. Or maybe you let Thanksgiving take a back seat while you gear up for Christmas. And instead, you celebrate Thanksgiving's favorite spinoff, Friendsgiving, with the family you've made along the way. And sometimes there's a surprising amount of TV involved. Some people have to have the football games on that day, and some create brackets for the AKC dog show. For others, it's not Thanksgiving until the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade is on, where you watch Savannah Guthrie talk about the Snoopy balloon and see how cold Al Roker is that year. He always seems so cold. I don't know why. Maybe it's the big puffy coats and earmuffs he always has to wear. No matter how you celebrate, I think it's natural to go into the holidays with rose-colored glasses on. When the rest of our days can feel a bit stressful, it seems like holidays should be exempt from the normal problems we have to deal with. If only that were true. I love a holiday, I really do. I love having something to celebrate with the people I love more than anything else in the world. I love a reason to gather together, to talk and laugh over games and silly stories and too much pie late into the night. I love watching my kids make memories with each other and their cousins, forging a bond I hope stays strong into adulthood. Those are the holiday memories that make me smile. It feels like that's what the holidays are supposed to look like. Warmth and love with all our troubles out of sight, like the old song goes. And then there are ones that are a little duller on the edges, the ones I don't pull out of my memory bank as often because I just don't really want to go there. Maybe you have them too. Like when you argue with your partner over where you'll spend the holidays this year or next year or any year for that matter. Like when your mother-in-law keeps nagging after you kindly but firmly tell her, we're going to celebrate the holidays with my family this year, but we'll spend next Thanksgiving with you. Like when you didn't have time to make your pumpkin pie this year and your brother sulks about it passive-aggressively and you have no idea anybody even cared about the pumpkin pie anyway. Or when your child meets your hard work around the holiday merriment with snark and an eye roll. When you work so hard to make the day memorable. I don't know about you, but in that moment, I can feel my temper hyper-responding. I can feel that I'm having an outsized reaction to something that wouldn't faze me on a normal day. If that's been your experience at the holidays, it's hard to not look at them with the tiniest bit of dread. Who needs that kind of tension? But maybe you're dreading the holidays for a different reason. Maybe there's going to be an empty chair where your loved one used to sit, and you're not quite sure how you're going to get through it. Life doesn't have to take a backseat at the holidays, does it? If you hadn't learned that before 2020, you've certainly learned it now. As much as we wish we could make a holiday perfect, even if we felt like the holidays were perfect when we were little kids, I'm afraid that's not really the reality we live in. Because if you look at any painting of a landscape, there are shades of light and dark. There have to be, so that we can see the picture the artist is trying to show us. So is there anything you can do? Is there any way we can press reset on a holiday that isn't going the way we thought it would? I think there is. It takes a little bit of effort, especially when all you want to do is throw in the towel, hide yourself in a closet and eat Cheetos while you watch the holiday. But if you're up for it, here's a few things I think that you could try to do to get the day back on track. First, acknowledge it's not going to be perfect. I know. It sounds like it's supposed to be easy to say the holidays aren't going to be perfect. But when we've been conditioned to try and throw a Hallmark Christmas holiday or even put those expectations on ourselves, it's just so hard to admit that despite our best efforts, something's going to go wrong. That can be frustrating. But you know what? That can be freeing as well. Because when you decide that your holiday doesn't have to be perfect, you're letting yourself off the hook to make it perfect. Your shoulders can relax instead of staying in a permanent position by your ears as you tense up for any bad thing that could possibly derail the day. The day instantly transforms from one of performance to enjoyment. No one needs you to perform the perfect holiday. In fact, some of the best memories come from the moments that deviated from your plans. One time, my friend had a bird fly in the kitchen while her family was making Thanksgiving dinner, and they tried so hard to get the bird out safely that they burned the dinner rolls. Were they sad about the dinner rolls? Of course, because dinner rolls are delicious. But were they stressed about it? No. Now they have a story to laugh about as they prep Thanksgiving dinner. P.S. For those keeping score, they did get the bird out safely. Then try to reset expectations when you bump into someone else's expectations. Okay, this is a tough one. This is when you have to really be on your adulting game and dialed into your EQ. Because wading into the thorny field of someone's expectations is highly uncomfortable, especially if you're a people pleaser. It's good to listen to other people. It's good to attend to what they need and how they feel. However, when it comes to the holidays, it's not your job to fulfill someone's expectations for you, spoken or unspoken. It's not your job to create a happy holiday for your partner, your parents, your in-laws, or your friends. Sometimes you're lucky and you find out that your expectations for the holiday don't align with someone else's before the big day. Many times, however, you don't find out until the actual day itself. And ladies and gentlemen, that is what we call a sticky wicket. But no matter when you find out that your expectations don't align, it's probably not going to be a comfortable conversation. And that's okay. Discomfort doesn't mean you've done anything wrong. Discomfort just is sometimes. So what do you do when that happens? Let's talk it out. Maybe you remember that last year, you and your partner had much different expectations for what the holiday budget would be for gifts. After all, it's in your camp to buy the gifts. And why would you need to consult him for what you think is right? Well, that's not exactly the way he saw it. And when he saw the credit card bill, he told you as much. Maybe this year, if you haven't already, check in to say, hey, I'm thinking about spending X amount of money on gifts this year. Is that the price range you were thinking? If it's not, then tell me what you were thinking. It doesn't have to be dramatic, just a quick second to make sure you guys are on the same page. Right now, I don't have the bandwidth for coming up with creative dinners, and I don't have to because Green Chef can do that for me. Green Chef is the #1 meal kit for eating well. And this holiday season, they're helping me create balanced meals that not only support our wellness goals, they taste great too. Honestly, I feel my best when I'm not eating a ton of carbs. And Green Chef is the only meal kit that offers a keto meal kit. And these meals aren't like crazy extreme with heavy fats like you see in keto meals sometimes. Green Chef's keto meals are super delicious and really balanced with recipes like Peruvian-style roasted chicken and veggies, creamy turkey bolognese made with spaghetti squash, and a pecan-crusted sockeye salmon with creamy kale and roasted carrots. So this holiday season, get healthy dinners on the table fast with Green Chef. Go to greenchef.com/simplified599 and use code simplified599 to get $5.99 per meal on your first box. And your first box ships free. One more time, go to greenchef.com/simplified599 and use code simplified599 to get $5.99 per meal on your first box. And your first box ships free. Green Chef, the #1 meal kit for eating well. This holiday season, I want to give a gift to my loved ones that makes them feel special and unique, just like the relationship we share. That's why I'm giving everyone I care about Storyworth. Storyworth is an online service that helps you and your loved ones preserve precious memories and stories for years to come. Every week, Storyworth emails your relative or friend a thought-provoking question of your choice from their vast pool of possible options. Each prompt asks questions you've never thought to ask, like, what's the bravest thing you've ever done in your life? Or if you could see into the future, what would you want to find out? After 1 year, Storyworth will compile all your loved ones' stories, including photos, into a beautiful keepsake book that you'll be able to share and revisit for generations to come. A few years ago, we got my dad to pull together some of his stories with Storyworth, and y'all, I can't begin to tell you how awesome this experience was for us. Storyworth helped me pull memories and advice from him I never would have gotten otherwise, and his Storyworth book has become an instant family heirloom. With Storyworth, I'm giving those I love a thoughtful, personal gift from the heart and preserving their memories and stories for years to come. Go to storyworth.com/simplified and save $10 on your first purchase. That's storyworth.com/simplified and save $10 on your first purchase. Share the gift of health with Everlywell. Everlywell is digital healthcare designed for you, with personalized results and accessible tools for long-term health. With over 30 at-home lab tests like the Women's Health Test, the Food Sensitivity Test, and the Celiac Disease Screening Test, you'll be able to find the perfect one for you or your loved one. Here's how it works. Everlywell ships products straight to you with everything you need in one package. To take your at-home lab test, simply collect your sample and use the prepaid shipping label to mail your test back to a certified lab. Then your physician-reviewed results get sent to your phone in days. Guys, I am a huge fan of Everlywell. I've used their food sensitivity test, the women's health test, and the thyroid test. My mom and I have both been on health journeys this year, so I'm going to surprise her with a women's health test to see how she can tweak a few things to help her feel like her best self. The gift of health has never been so easy to share than it is this holiday. For my listeners, Everlywell is offering a discount of 20% off an at-home lab test at everlywell.com/simplified. That's everlywell.com/simplified for 20% off your next at-home lab test. everlywell.com/simplified. Now, this wicket's a bit more sticky. Maybe your mother-in-law had some very concrete ideas on how the holidays should be celebrated and who they should be celebrated with. Maybe she's had the last few Christmases where you and your family were present for Christmas morning, but maybe this year you feel like you need to do something different. Maybe you want your kids to wake up in their own beds on Christmas morning. Maybe your parents will be coming over for Christmas morning with the grandkids. If that's how you feel, then maybe it's time for a conversation with your mother-in-law. Maybe it's one your partner can have with her, or maybe one you could have with her together so that you don't feel like you're the lone villain in the story of the holidays this year. It's not a comfortable conversation, but it's not a wrong one to have either. Don't forget, you don't have to be the sacrificial lamb on the altar of everyone else's holiday. You get a say in the way your holidays will go, even if it makes someone else feel uncomfortable. But let's be real for a sec. Sometimes the holidays can't be salvaged. Not to be a Debbie Downer, you guys, but I think this is real and it's important to acknowledge. Not every holiday is going to be a good holiday. Some holidays are just going to suck. That's especially true when sickness and loss have made their way into your life. So what do you do then? It is so hard. Maybe your grandma made her homemade noodles every Thanksgiving. Maybe every year, the night before the big day, she spent the whole night beating eggs and flour together with a fork, working the dough into a disc and spreading it onto the counter so the noodles could dry overnight, and so your family could devour them happily the next day along with their turkey. But now, the hands that used to roll and knead and shape this piece of your family history, the hands you used to look at with awe as you traced the veins with your finger, wondering if your hands would ever look so old, those hands that could roll and bake and hug you with ease, they aren't there anymore. It's enough to put a lump in your throat. I am so sorry. I wish so badly I could fix it for you. In those moments, I want you to remember something. As much as we wish we could have those moments back with us, you don't have to hold the same traditions or make the same food or watch the same movies every holiday to make that holiday meaningful. These days are meaningful in the moment. They are meaningful because of who you share them with. And over the years, the people you share them with will probably change. As much as you can, hold room in your heart for new memories and new people. In some seasons, that's a whole lot easier said than done, and that's okay. But if you can, maybe open your heart for something new and unexpected this holiday. If you can, keep your eyes open so that maybe, just maybe, you can find meaning in places you weren't expecting to find it. Maybe this year, your sister decides to try her hand at your grandma's noodles. Maybe you hadn't had those noodles for a long time, not since your stomach decided for some strange reason that you're not allowed to eat gluten anymore. Maybe your sister decides to not only make your grandma's noodles in honor of the woman you loved so much, but she decides to make them gluten-free so you can enjoy them for the first time in years. And your sister's noodles? They're so perfect. You're so astonished by how much it feels like your grandma is sitting with you at that table in that moment, wrapped into the love of a sister who's made an old tradition her own. Guys, it's hard to know how to wrap an episode like this because sometimes life is just hard. But there's nothing I can say to wrap that in a bow. Just know that this holiday season, I hope you get to enjoy the best holiday that's available to you as much as humanly possible. As we close out this episode, I'd like to say a blessing for you as we leave this time together and get back into our days. I hope you give yourself the grace to say, this holiday won't be perfect. If you need to, I hope you have the courage to tell someone else, I can't do that this year, but here's what I have capacity for. And above all, I hope you get to experience the day with the people you love and remember the love of those who have been there in years before. As always, I like to leave a little tip to help you put what we've talked about today into practice, so here's your task for this week. On Thanksgiving, do you ever find yourself needing to buy some time because you kind of underestimated how long it would take for a whole turkey to cook? Yeah, me too. You know what can save your bacon in those moments and keep hangry family members out of the kitchen? Snacks, lots of snacks. Listen, can't have your father, the turkey junkie, coming into the kitchen every 5 minutes asking for an update. But you can go to Costco and get a huge jar of mixed nuts and put the said mixed nuts in little bowls around the living room. You can get the pre-made charcuterie platters and boxes of crackers and fruits and veggie trays and set them out for people to munch on. I know it's Thanksgiving, but the food doesn't have to be fancy, you guys, or even the presentation. If you have the capacity to make something like sausage balls, then absolutely go for it. But for the rest of us, sometimes the best thing is to open a bag of pretzels and keep chugging away in the kitchen. Thanks for listening to the Simplified podcast. I hope today's episode helps you celebrate the special days ahead of you in a way that works for you. You can find show notes for this episode at emilylay.com/podcast, and you can shop the Simplified brand of planners and products where we have so many holiday gifts waiting for you. And don't forget to pick up your copy of my new book, Sure as the Sunrise, 100 Morning Meditations on God's Mercy and Delight. Thanks for listening to the show. Thank you for subscribing and reviewing. If there's something you're loving about the show, you can drop me a line on Apple Podcasts. I read all of your words and take them to heart. Till next time, thanks for listening. Bye.